Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm Amma Mama. I wanted to just do a really quick wrap up of everything that I read in September. I read 5 books, so not a ton, but I had a lot of stuff going on this past month, been sick a lot, problems with being dizzy, all of that stuff. So I didn't read as much as what I would have loved to, but I did at least get through the 5 books I'm going to talk about. The first one, I don't have a physical copy of it. It was an audiobook of Pretty Things. I'll have to put the title of the author. I cannot remember who wrote it off the top of my head. That was just like a general fiction. It was a really good book. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Basically, it's about a girl, and I'm going to try to not do any spoilers, but basically about a girl who grows up with a mom who basically teaches her how to become like a thief and how to get things from people and hopefully not get caught. But she targets people who won't miss their money as much, and she doesn't take more than what she needs, and she does it in a way where she doesn't get caught. But where we catch up with her in this story, it's kind of become personal for her. And so stuff happens, and there's a lot of like twists and turns, and there's a lot of drama with it. And you find out that what you think is going on, while it is partially true, there's other people involved, and it's hard to say a whole lot about it without giving away some of the spoilers. And there were a couple of times that I had figured out what was happening, but then something would change and I realized like, oh, I had it figured out, but now they threw another twist into that. So it made it very entertaining. So overall, I did really enjoy that book. I gave it 4 stars. The second book that I read was Wind Through the Keyhole. I was able to find an audio version of that book. And then I also had bought it on Kindle because I couldn't find a physical copy of it. But that's the 4.5, book 4.5 of the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. It was good as well. I gave it a 4 stars. Those books right now, they're at a point where the ones that I've read so far, they're all a lot of like backstory. And so with the Wind Through the Keyhole, it was like a story within a story within a story. And luckily it was a little bit shorter of a book because there were a few times that I was kind of like, let's just get back to the main story. So that may be a little bit of a repeat of what I've said in the past when I finished it, but it was still a good book. It's just, I'm hoping that in the next 2 that we're back to actually following them on their journey to the Dark Tower, because that's the part that I'm most interested in. And right now we're just getting a lot of these kind of backstories of the main character. So, but overall it was pretty good. I also read Crisscross by James Patterson. And these books, I think I gave them, I want to say the James Patterson books, I gave 4 stars. They're 3.5, 4 stars. They're good. They're just pretty quick reads. I gave a pretty in-depth review of this one, so I'm not going to say a whole lot, but you know, basically from the back cover, there's a copycat murderer, and the person that he thinks he is already put behind bars makes it out like he hasn't, and so he's after somebody who calls himself M, and he keeps having to go all over the place trying to find the murderer, and there's a little bit of twist at the end. A couple of things happen. Like, I thought I knew who the murderer was, and then it turned out that person who at first I thought was a good guy, and then I thought he was the bad guy, he turned out he was a good guy. But there were some things in here that bugged me, just involving like Cross's son. And again, I talked more about it in a different video, but they didn't teach them about stranger danger, and it just, I don't know. So some of it drove me a little bit crazy, but overall it was a good book, and it was a quick read. So it's worth picking up to just, to just have a very easy read. There's not, I don't want to say there's no depth to it, but it's just a quick read for when you're looking for something, that can hold your attention, but isn't going to require too much brain power. Then I read The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. Again, I did more of a review on this. I gave it, I think I still gave it 4 stars. Maybe I gave it 3.5. I don't know. If I didn't, I'd say maybe 3.5. It was a good book, but I felt like the character development with their relationship wasn't as strong as what I would have liked to see, and their relationship felt just very physical, and I was missing some of the emotional component. And there was a lot, at least to me, there was a lot of spice in this book, which I don't hate it when it's in books, but if it feels out of place, it's not my favorite. And to me, it just felt like the spice that was in here, they were trying to use it to carry the story. And so it made it, I got to the point where I was skipping those pages. Like, there would be pages and pages of just graphic detail, and it was too much for me. So I ended up skipping a lot of that. So while I liked the overall premise of the book, and basically the girl had an OnlyFans account that she was using to help pay bills and pay for school and things like that. And some stuff happened. She quit doing it. She takes a job as a nanny. Turns out the person she is a nanny for, the dad, was her biggest fan on OnlyFans, and she figures it out before he knows. And by then they're starting to kind of have a relationship. And so it was just, so the premise was kind of interesting, but it was just too much, I don't know, too much spice driven things that didn't carry the plot as much as I would have liked. His daughter, I think her character was good in the story. I don't know. So it was good. So I'd say I probably, if I gave it a 4, I'd probably maybe 3.5, just because of, what I already talked about. But overall, it was still a good read. It was, it was entertaining. There was a lot of pages I kind of skipped over. And then the last book that I read during September was Cross the Line, also by James Patterson. This is another Alex Cross novel. This one I actually found a copy of the audiobook on Libby through my library, so I ended up listening to it, which actually was kind of fun because the audiobook for this particular one, they added a lot of like extra stuff. And so, you'd hear the dogs barking and the gunshots and some music and some of those dramatic effects. And so it felt like you were listening to like a radio broadcast, from, way back when, when they used to do those for stories. Overall, it was pretty good. There were like 3 different murder things going on with these vigilantes. And so at first it was a little bit confusing trying to see how and why they all tied into each other. But in the end, he brings it all together. So I gave this a 4 star. Again, they're not like a super heavy read. So if you're just looking for something that you can read without a ton of brain power, it's definitely worth it. I didn't read this one physically. I listened to it, which I really enjoyed. So I don't know if reading it, I would have had a different feel for it versus the fact that I listened to the audiobook, but it was still good. And so I enjoyed it. So that's kind of it for the month. Again, I didn't read everything on my TBR that I wanted to, so I carried a lot of those over to October, and then I ended up ordering some more books that I would love to read in October. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'll probably still read them in November, even though Halloween will be over. Not because they're necessarily Halloween books, but I know that I'm going to want to read maybe some more romancy, Christmassy kind of things towards the end of the year. But I have some ones that I definitely want to finish. I'm waiting for a copy of My Roommate is a Vampire. I've been seeing several people review that. I'm really enjoying it, and so I just think that'll be a fun little read for October. I'm getting ready to start Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, so I think that'll be a good one for the month. So we will see how much I get through my TBR, because it started out kind of small-ish, because really all I did was move my September books over and added like 1 or 2, and now I feel like my pile's growing, which seems to be becoming a thing. My pile just keeps growing, so we'll see what I get through, but in the meantime, have a great week, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.